Mrs. Maria was 72 years old and had dreamed for decades of visiting Paris. She saved money for years, packed her bags and boarded the plane, believing life owed her this reward after so much hard work. But nobody warned her that this simple trip could cost her much more than any plane ticket. It cost her health, nearly all her savings, and precious months of her life. You may not believe it, but stories like this happen every day to seniors who travel without proper preparation. That's why today, as both doctor and friend, I urgently need to tell you about the 5 deadly dangers of traveling after age 70, so that you don't suffer the same fate as Mrs. Maria. Before we begin this conversation that will transform your view of longevity and well-being, please subscribe to the channel, because this video is a true lesson that can save not only your vacation, but also your physical, financial, and emotional health. I'll reveal hidden cardiovascular risks on flights and cruises, financial traps that can drain your savings, dangerous foods disguised as delicious dishes, and much more. Stay with me until the very end, because every minute can make a difference in the quality and safety of your next trips. Ready to travel with health and wisdom? Then let's discover everything you need to know together. As wise as life experience can be, many seniors don't realize until it's too late that the body after 70 no longer responds with the same agility and resilience it once did. It's not just a matter of being healthy. It's understanding that physiological reserves are limited, and any sudden change, jet lag, climate shifts, or diet swaps can trigger a silent collapse. I've treated patients who arrived in my office with serious complications after seemingly simple trips, like a quick getaway to Buenos Aires that ended in hospitalization for pneumonia. Might that sound extreme? According to international travel insurance data, overseas medical emergencies can exceed $100,000 just in hospital costs. There's a dangerous illusion that someone who's lived so long has seen it all. But longevity doesn't mean invulnerability. A senior's body may carry stories of triumph, but also hidden frailties. A simple cold on a flight, for example, can become serious because immune defenses wane with age. It's not unheard of for tourists to spend days hospitalized far from home, without family nearby and with emotional health deteriorating. True healthy aging requires acknowledging these new limitations and planning trips with responsibility and care. Moreover, many forget that travel fatigue isn't just in the legs. It strains the liver, kidneys, sleep cycle, and digestion. I've seen jet lag trigger hypertensive crises in patients with no prior history. As a geriatrician, I always say, the secret isn't to avoid the world, but to explore it consciously. After all, late life health is built on choices, and the best itinerary isn't the longest one, but the safest. Now more than ever, it's time to look at the cardiac risks hiding in the clouds of airplanes and the calm waters of cruises. Many imagine that a cruise vacation or an international flight is simply a time for rest and joy. But what few know, and almost no one discusses, is that these experiences harbor serious dangers for the heart of anyone over 70. Changes in air pressure, sudden temperature swings, and even the excitement of travel can overload the cardiovascular system. Take Mr. James's case. He boarded a Caribbean cruise with no apparent health issues, only to be airlifted off by helicopter on day 3 following an acute heart failure episode. The bill? Over $80,000 in medical and transport expenses. These incidents aren't rare. Long journeys activate the sympathetic nervous system, speeding up heart rate, raising blood pressure, and potentially triggering arrhythmias, especially in those with even minor prior issues. Healthy aging demands constant attention to the body's signals, particularly outside the usual routine, and there's a drawback. Medical response times on a cruise ship or in flight are limited, turning minutes into an eternity. The so-called silent events, like microinfarctions, often get mistaken for general discomfort, delaying proper care and worsening outcomes. As a geriatrician, I recommend that anyone over 65 undergo a full cardiac evaluation before traveling, especially if planning flights longer than 4 hours or cruise voyages. This should include an echocardiogram, stress test, and up-to-date lab work. And don't underestimate the impact of a chilly airplane cabin. Cold air can constrict blood vessels and increase angina risk. Cardiovascular health in later life is delicate and complex. That's why we must now confront an even more insidious threat, the silent thrombosis lurking in airplane seats. Few realize that just 4 hours seated on a plane can set off deep vein thrombosis, one of the most dangerous conditions for seniors. It starts quietly with swollen legs, mild discomfort, or tingling. But a clot in the veins can travel to the lungs and cause a potentially fatal pulmonary embolism. I once treated a healthy 72-year-old patient who ignored those warning signs after flying to Mexico. On her return, she struggled to breathe and went straight to the ICU. A simple compression stocking and short walks down the aisle could have prevented that scare. Altitude is another foe. Above 2,500 meters, thinner air reduces blood oxygenation, forcing the heart to work harder. Young bodies adapt easily, older bodies do not. That's why destinations like Machu Picchu, Bogota, or La Paz demand strict monitoring. A fingertip pulse oximeter costing under $100 can be a senior traveler's best ally, alerting you to drops in saturation and allowing early intervention to avoid respiratory crises far from hospitals. We must also remember that high altitudes dramatically raise the risk of dehydration. Low humidity dries you out quickly, making extra hydration essential. Drinking water, eating potassium-rich fruits like bananas and melons, and avoiding caffeine and alcohol are simple measures with powerful effects on senior health. In my practice, I always stress, disease prevention for seniors starts before you leave home. But if your blood can betray you, imagine what happens when your health insurance won't cover the care you need. One of the deadliest traps for travelers over 70 lies in the fine print of international health insurance policies. Many seniors, believing everything's covered, board their trips unaware that their plan excludes emergencies at sea or treatment in certain non-network countries. I recall a 76-year-old patient who suffered appendicitis in the US. Without proper coverage, her hospital bills surpassed $30,000, draining decades of savings she'd set aside for her grandchildren. The problem is compounded by rushed travel agents who gloss over or even omit these exclusions. Seniors think their insurance has them fully covered when, in reality, it only applies to limited regions or conditions. Some plans even bar pre-existing conditions, affecting nearly every traveler over 70. Healthy aging also means protecting your finances. Read and understand every policy detail, and if possible, review it with a trusted advisor before booking. One bad choice here can mean months of suffering, debt, and regret. As a geriatrician, I urge my patients to have a plan B for wisdom. Alongside basic insurance, maintain an emergency health fund specifically for travel. Today, there are comprehensive options for seniors that include early repatriation, complex hospitalizations, and family accompaniment. It may cost a bit more, but as I always say, better to spend on prevention than to incur debt on treatment. Speaking of prevention, what lurks on those tantalizing local dishes? We often envision exotic flavors, unique spices, and local specialties as the culinary highlight of any trip. But for travelers over 70, that adventure can quickly become a serious risk. The aging immune system doesn't respond as robustly, leaving seniors vulnerable to bacteria, parasites, and viruses from improperly handled or washed foods. It's not uncommon for someone to sample a simple ceviche or an unfiltered fruit and end up with severe diarrhea and extended hospital stays for foodborne infections. I think of Mrs. Lucia, who fell ill after eating seafood at a beachside restaurant in Thailand. She spent a week hospitalized with a severe infection caused by Vibrio parahemolyticus, common in undercooked shellfish. A more cautious choice, well-cooked dishes, bottled water, and asking questions before accepting any plate, could have prevented her ordeal. Verifying food origin and restaurant hygiene is now part of the Resilient Traveler's Manual. In my clinic, I recommend that senior travelers carry a small digestive first aid kit, probiotics, anti-diarrheal medication, and oral rehydration salts. Moreover, incorporating immunity-boosting foods into your daily diet, like natural yogurt, garlic, and turmeric, can fortify the body before departure. After all, disease prevention begins on your plate. But if food can wear you down from within, imagine what cumulative fatigue can do to you on the outside. Let's now discuss silent physical wear, the invisible enemy of long trips. Do you realize that the greatest threat of a long journey isn't necessarily illness, but the silent physical wear that builds up and exacts a steep price on an aging body? While a young person rebounding from an international flight may recover in hours, a senior can take up to a week to reset sleep, digestion, and mood. With age, the body's internal clock loses precision, and jet lag becomes a genuine threat to longevity and well-being. I've seen patients return from seemingly calm trips, suffering chronic insomnia, persistent fatigue, and immune crises. Often the wear isn't apparent during the journey, but emerges later as recurrent infections, dizziness, and cognitive lapses. Reduced melatonin levels and diminished brain-body adaptation capacity underlie these effects, leading to a domino of exhaustion, poor diet, weakened immunity, and serious illness. That's why I always stress, seniors must plan both departure and return. Build in full rest days at trip's end, keep routines gentle, and heed your body's signals. Simple habits like stretching before bed, staying well hydrated, and eating anti-inflammatory foods, salmon rich in omega-3 or leafy greens, can make all the difference. Speaking of hidden dangers, it's time to address one of the most feared after 70, falls. A small misstep can alter a life forever. Between ages 70 and 90, a single fall can be far more dangerous than many imagine. Bone density has declined, protective muscle is weakened, and reaction time to steady yourself is greatly reduced. The result? Severe fractures, lengthy hospital stays, and loss of independence. In my clinic, I often say, a fall can trigger a cascade of losses. I remember Mr. Adalberto, who slipped while boarding a tourist bus and ended up with a fractured hip, 3 months in bed, and depression from decreased mobility. The risk amplifies in unfamiliar settings. Hotels with poorly lit steps, slippery bathrooms, uneven sidewalks, and staircases without handrails become traps. On cruises, the ship's sway has caused many silent victims who return home using walkers and undergoing physiotherapy. Prevention is simple. Wear non-slip shoes, choose ground floor rooms, request bathroom modifications, and never hesitate to ask for help with luggage or stairs. Longevity means knowing when to slow down. Furthermore, fear of falling can lead to an even greater danger, sedentary behavior. When a senior avoids going out or moving around for fear of falling, they enter a cycle of fragility that erodes both physical and emotional resilience. The key is balance, quite literally. Practices like Pilates, Tai Chi, and lower body strength exercises are powerful allies in fall prevention. And of course, keeping bone density scans current is essential to detect osteoporosis before it strikes at the worst possible moment. Now, let's step off solid ground and into another slippery terrain, invisible financial traps. Seniors are prime targets for digital fraud and scams, especially when it comes to travel. The excitement of exploring new places can cloud judgment, paving the way for fake websites, drivers posing as tour guides, and irresistible packages hiding real traps. Consider Mr. George, who trusted an online ad to rent a vacation home in Europe, only to arrive and find the property did not exist. He lost money, peace of mind, and had to scramble for an expensive hotel room. It's startling how easily confidence can be manipulated with a single click. Too good to be true promotions, emails offering unmissable tickets, or overly friendly phone agents can deceive even the savviest traveler. Healthy aging involves more than meds and checkups. It requires emotional and financial vigilance. A scam may leave no physical scars, but it damages self-esteem, security, and can trigger anxiety or insomnia. Many seniors feel ashamed to tell their children or seek help, compounding the psychological toll. That's why healthy aging must include digital literacy and financial protection strategies. Whenever possible, verify bookings with family, use official websites, and never share personal or banking details outside secure environments. In my practice, I say, the best vaccine against scams is information. And this protection extends beyond the digital realm to how a senior organizes their trip, resources, and decisions. But how do you shield not only the spirit, but also the wallet? That's exactly what we'll cover next, protecting your financial health with realistic planning and wisdom. Caring for senior health goes far beyond taking medications on schedule or routine exams. Protecting your finances also safeguards your heart, mind, and dignity. When traveling, this care must be heightened. One of the best tools for senior travelers is an international prepaid card. It prevents overspending, offers real-time expense tracking, and reduces risk if lost or stolen. It's also crucial to calmly review insurance policies and ensure all coverages are valid, especially in countries with sky-high healthcare costs. In my clinic, I always say, the best health plan is one that protects your inner peace. Keeping a separate emergency fund for travel, using finance tracking apps, and choosing reputable transport and lodging providers are small steps that save more than money. They save sleep, reduce stress, and preserve self-esteem. After all, there's no well-being when a senior finds themselves stranded abroad, dependent on others, or struggling to return home. That erodes not only time, but also the soul. A golden tip I share is to create a financial action plan before departure. List all expected costs and add a 20% buffer for surprises. This helps not just with budgeting, but with maintaining emotional control in critical moments. Financial independence in later life is a daily achievement. To truly enjoy what the world has to offer, you need more than courage. You need wisdom. And that same wisdom underpins the final lesson of this guide, the art of traveling with lightness, awareness, and genuine resilience. By age 70, your passport may have fewer blank pages, but your heart still holds many dreams. The difference now, more than ever, is aligning the desire to explore the world with the commitment to safeguard body, mind, and spirit. Traveling wisely doesn't mean giving up adventure. It means making it safer, more conscious, and deeply enjoyable. True resilience isn't about resisting time, but adapting to it with intelligence. This involves preparing your body with simple exercises, keeping exams up to date, and consulting your geriatrician before departure. Planning also means respecting your own limits. Choosing itineraries with built-in rest days, scheduled downtime, and accessible destinations helps maintain well-being without sacrificing experience. I always suggest maintaining self-care routines while traveling. Stay hydrated, eat on a regular schedule, sleep well, and keep your mind active through reading, contemplation, or prayer. Healthy aging thrives on small daily habits, even when you're far from home. Finally, remember that quality longevity is built in every detail: the smile at a seaside sunset, the mindful choice of tranquil accommodations, the company that lifts your spirits. Traveling can indeed be a blessing after 70, so long as it's guided by preparation, discernment, and a generous dose of self-love. As a doctor, I say, each trip is a page in the book of life. May yours be written with health, safety, and wisdom, because the true destination of those seeking to age well isn't a place, it's a state of fulfillment. Now tell me, after all this, would you still travel unprepared? I really want to know your thoughts. Have you ever faced travel mishaps? Or do you know someone who has? Comment below. Your story could help others avoid the same mistakes. If this video helped you in any way, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, because every week I share content that can transform your health, longevity, and quality of life after 60. Click on the next video appearing on screen. It will show you the silent warnings your body is sending. You can't ignore them. A big hug, take good care, and see you next time.